Welcome to the thePLsurfer, anytime, anywhere video tutorials for educators. This is episode 2 in the series, Creating Formative and Summative Assessments with Google Forms. In the first video, we learned to select a theme, write a survey description which motivates people to complete the survey, create 5 different types of survey questions, including checkboxes, choose from a list, multiple choice, paragraph text, and finally, grid. We also learned to complete the confirmation message seen by respondents when they click Submit, view and test a live survey, and finally, we learned to review results in a spreadsheet. By the end of this second video, you will be able to navigate Google Drive to return to your form to conduct further edits, access the live form and copy the link to email to users, and view responses in a spreadsheet. Secondly, make use of branching logic to ensure that only the relevant questions are displayed to the appropriate respondents. And finally today, conduct data analysis right in the Google spreadsheet. Before we head back to Google Drive, I would like to stop for an important note. With any online tools such as blogs, chat rooms, and multiplayer games, it is important to teach students not to reveal personal information. When a Google form is being used for formative or summative assessment, assign students a unique identifier, number, word, etc. to use in the name field. All right, let's log back into Google Drive. When I log back into my Google Drive account, I immediately see the form I created on April 30th. You will notice that the title appears twice, one of which has the additional word responses. Let's begin by clicking on the other title. My form launches in edit mode. I can edit, add, and delete questions. In addition, I can rearrange the order of questions. Remember that as you make changes to your form, Google takes care of saving it for you. In the previous video, we learned that we could click the button in the upper left to view the live form. We have already conducted a test of our survey and reviewed our responses. Let's now take a look at how to capture the survey link for users. After clicking View Live Form, left-click on the survey address in the address bar above the form. Right-click for Options and choose Copy. Next, launch your email. Right-click in the body section and select Paste. If the link is not underlined and in blue, tap space on the keyboard to activate it. In the email that you send out, keep in mind the tips from the first video for motivating prospective respondents to complete the form. There are 2 avenues for viewing the information submitted by respondents in the spreadsheet which collects the responses. Let's review the first method, which was covered in the previous video. Let's click on the Browser tab to the right of the one entitled My Drive, Google Drive. We have returned to our form in edit mode. To see our survey responses, we can simply click View Responses in the upper left. The second way to access our survey responses is to return to the home page of my Google Drive account. At the beginning of this video, we noticed that the form title is listed twice. We would click on the version entitled Pre-Session Survey Responses. You are likely asking, how was that response spreadsheet generated? Here you will see that I have created a new form entitled Test. In the upper left, I click Choose Response Destination. I then leave the check mark beside the default New Spreadsheet with the suggested title. So that I do not have to keep going through this process of Choose Response Destination, I check Always Create a Spreadsheet. In this section of the tutorial, let's explore branching logic. You can add branching logic to a survey so that the survey changes according to a respondent's answers to specific questions. In a survey that branches, questions appear only if they apply to someone's situation. If the questions don't apply, the person can answer a different set of questions or skip that set of questions. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from a post-unit assessment on arthropods. Students are posed with the following statement. These are all examples of arthropods: lobster, bedbug, millipede, ant. If students select true, I would like for them to explain why, in their opinion, these are all examples of arthropods. If, however, students respond with false, I will be asking them to explain why they do not believe all of these organisms cannot be classified as arthropods. To set up the branching, I went through these steps. Using the Add Item dropdown, I created a separate page for each of the possible explanations. I titled one page True and the other False. I then clicked into Edit mode for the multiple choice question. I clicked Go to Page based on answer. From there, I specified that students who chose True should be directed to the page entitled True or page 2, and the students who selected False, page 3, or the page entitled False. Once the two groups explain why they answered true or false, they will both be directed to the final grid question where they rate their learning of unit objectives. What are the advantages of digital data analysis? No doubt you're watching this video series because you see the advantages of online data collection. For example, no more photocopying, and no more manual distribution of surveys or assessments and the collection of responses. The time saved on these low-level tasks can be invested in implementing interventions to improve student learning. You can save even more time for personalizing learning by also conducting digital data analysis. The survey or formative assessment that we built during these two videos is actually a pre-session survey that I sent out to educators who had registered for the session I was offering, Marzano plus Tech equals high levels of student learning. The results assisted me with tailoring the session to better meet the needs of participants. Now I will quickly show you some of the data analysis functionalities built into Google Spreadsheet that assist with identifying trends and patterns. Let's return to the post-unit assessment on arthropods. If I click on View and then List, I can see all of the responses. For the question, these are all examples of arthropods: lobsters, bedbug, millipede, ant. I can activate the filter to identify the students who answered false. Here I can see that Elmo and Batman answered false to this question. I can then return to all of my data by clicking All. By returning to Spreadsheet View, I can also use conditional formatting to highlight specific responses. For the same question, rather than using filtering to identify the response false, I can do the following. Firstly, select the cells containing data for this question. Under Format, I choose Conditional Formatting. I will leave the default Text Contains, enter the word false, check background, and then select the color red. Finally, I will click Save Rules. Now I see that any response of false has been highlighted in red. Experiment with these other possible options for conditional formatting. Text does not contain, text is exactly, cell is empty, date is before, date is after, greater than, less than, is equal to, is not equal to, is between, and is not between. Now that we've looked at filtering and conditional formatting, let's take a look at sorting. To begin, let's return to List View. For the question, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statement? I believe I have met all of the objectives for the unit on arthropods. I can apply a filter as I did earlier, or I can sort the data. I just left double click the question, Now I see the ratings in descending order. If I left double-click again, I see the responses in ascending order. Filtering, sorting, and conditional formatting are just 3 of the functionalities built right into Google Spreadsheet to assist you with quickly analyzing your students' results, and thereby expediting your implementation of interventions such as flexible groupings. In this second video, we learned to navigate Google Drive to return to your form to conduct further edits, access the live form and copy the link to email users, view responses in a spreadsheet. Secondly, we made use of branching logic to ensure that only the relevant questions are displayed to the appropriate respondents. And finally, we conducted data analysis right in the Google Spreadsheet. Thank you for participating in this 2-part video series. I look forward to learning with you in future Anytime, Anywhere tutorials presented by thePLsurfer.